There's that old familiar feeling again. The crushing pressure of this historic courthouse. Actually, no. It's a little different today. There's an even more menacing tension in the air. There's a menacing tension in the air here today, isn't there, I suppose? Yes, I think so. It can only be the result of the menacing appearance of the defendant. A little more courtesy, if you please. Oh my, I do apologize. However, you're certainly not mistaken that this trial is far from ordinary. What do you mean? I'm not privy to the details, however, I understand that no jury has been selected. Huh? A trial without a jury? Well, that's just like the trial of the professor 10 years ago. A closed court. Good morning, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes. Have you made note of my hair, Mr. Naruhodo? An outright victory for science, you must agree. Why are you so chipper? To be perfectly honest, so much happened yesterday that, well, I completely forgot about your little hair problem. What to one man is a little hair problem is to another a day of drinking dubious potion after dubious potion. You have no idea how my stomach ails me this morning. Oh dear, how awful for you. I'm afraid you only have yourself to blame, your Mr. Sholmes. And good morning to you, Mr. Reaper. I'm delighted to see you looking so full of vim. And are you? I see London's celebrated great detective is as active as ever. Oh, you exaggerate, my dear fellow, compared to my paltry engagements with a few trivial cases. The Reaper's overbearing presence is a far greater deterrent to the black roots of crime in our capital. And whilst I may not agree with your methods, it's not his methods. There's at least one point on which I would readily commend you. What an honor, and that would be your eye for a good lawyer, sir. Huh? Are you mocking me? Mr. Sholmes, I'm blushing. Stop it. After all, behind this lawyer there's a very great mind, my own. Oh. What is happening? What are you trying to say? I wish only to say that you should be prepared for quite a trial, Mr. Reaper. Huh? What is that supposed to mean? Sholmes, if you have any evidence, please give it to me before the trial. Sorry to barge in. Oh, sorry to barge in. Gina. What's that on her arm? It's a mourning band, I suppose. Father, shouldn't you be at the symposium? It's been postponed, so I have some free time. I decided to come along with the police inspector to see our country's up-and-coming student in action. Oh, me? I shall be very interested to see the fruits of your studies over the past year. Uh-oh, more pressure. Great. Well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's hope there are some fruits to see. Although... Oh, yes, Gina? Why do you agree to this, eh? Why do you take him on? Huh? This Reaper bloke, everyone says it was him what killed the boss. I'm sorry, Gina, but I just don't believe that. Well, if it wasn't him, who was it? I don't know that yet. I don't care who calls him what, the Reaper's just a name. He's a person at the end of the day. And if it turns out it was him what killed the boss, then God help him. Wow, a deathly glare from Gina. Fiery eyes indeed. Yes, the culprit deserves every ounce of your loathing. At least that may be some solace to the deceased. Please, Otto. Get whoever did this for the boss. Oh, Gina. I hate this feeling this useless, but there's nothing I can do. So you've gotta find who done this and make the wretch pay. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court will be in session shortly. Make your way to the courtroom. Alright then, here we go. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. Lord Van Zieks. One who lost his treasured brother to a mass murderer. One who lost his treasured father in a foreign court of law. And one who lost a man who helped her escape destitution. All that misfortune, all that pain, on course to collide headlong in this trial. It's time to shine a light on all these dark events. And whatever truth is revealed, we're going to have to look it straight in the eye.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here to conduct a fair and just trial of the defendant Baruch Van Zieks. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to begin?
The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Oh, Kazuma-sama. I've been wishing to see you in court again for so long, it feels. But I never pictured it happening like this. I never thought I'd be facing you behind the prosecution's bench.
The so-called Reaper of the Bailey has been a scourge like no other, undermining Her Majesty's justice system. Today we must uncover the truth behind the scourge.
In other words, this trial is going to be a lot more far-reaching than Inspector Gregson's murder.
The truth revealed by these proceedings may have unpredictable repercussions through the judiciary. Accordingly, they are to be conducted as a closed trial with no members of the public present. By Her Majesty's direct orders.
How will that work, my lord?
The burden of all arbitration and adjudication falls on my shoulders. Therefore, as you will see, the juror's bench shall remain vacant today.
If no members of the public are present, might I ask who is currently occupying the gallery, my lord?
They are members of the judiciary here to witness proceedings and ensure an equitable trial.
Members of the judiciary? Oh my, this is a very unusual trial already.
There is of course another unprecedented aspect to these proceedings on which I must elaborate. The counsels for the prosecution and the defense are both aliens of Great Britain.
I believe it takes an outsider to see the truth sometimes. And as I stand here in this courtroom now, I'm quite certain this is the reason why I had to come to Britain. Kazuma?
Very well, let us commence proceedings. Prosecutor Asugi, your opening statement, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. The incident took place on 1st November at just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The location was a building of flats on Fresno Street on the outskirts of the city. The victim's body was discovered there in an old single-room rental property.
Yes, Inspector Tobias Gregson, a name known very well indeed to this court. Not least for his miraculous resolution of one of this country's grimmest cases 10 years ago.
The Professor case. How sure are you about the time of the incident? Several witnesses on the street outside heard the gunshot, and all have reported the same time. Yes, that's what Gina told us too. There were a number of witnesses. I have here a plan of the room. The victim was found curled up in one corner. It's believed that he was shot from the front at point-blank range and died instantly.
How has the range been determined?
There were scorch marks around the entry wound. Such marks are caused by the gunpowder used to fire the bullet. But powder hot enough to leave scorch marks is only ejected a few inches beyond the end of the barrel. In other words, it only happens when a target is at point-blank range.
I see, yes. Thank you for the detailed explanation, Counsel.
Okay, we really should look at the evidence. Oh, there's more? The murder weapon was found lying beside the victim.
And have you managed to ascertain the owner of this firearm?
No, my lord. Not conclusively. Do these firearms not have like a serial number? And that can be cross-checked with the firearm that has been handed out to detectives and prosecutors? The helmet of this charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear. I'm not convinced about the charming part, but yes, you're right. The head part looks like it's been fairly heavily manhandled, almost as if somebody has enjoyed twisting it around and around for fun. What does that mean? Shall we try twisting it around and around too, for fun? Oh! Ah, what's that? It appears to be some sort of key. But it's tiny though, it couldn't be a key for a door, not at that size. So what it is for, I wonder. It's a interesting looking key. Is it a key even? Kinda looks like, you know those dwarfs in the garden where you just you will skewer the earth with those skewers. This looks like some sort of key. Yes, it does. A very tiny and simple key. What's a little key doing inside a figurine of a policeman? And what's it for? So this is the type of revolver that's standard issue for members of the judiciary then? Yes, and when I asked about whether records are kept about who they're issued to, I was told that for the past 5 years they've been engraved with a unique serial number. Aha! Oh, but as far as I can tell, there's nothing like that on this gun, which tells us that it must have been issued longer ago. Oh, and a gun issued to Baruch van Zieks was 10 years ago. Oh, this doesn't bode well. This is not great, is it? A wig. I assume Mr. Vigil has been working at that red-headed league by pretending he was a redhead, so he could afford the lifestyle Mrs. Vigil needed, right? I've always wondered what the underside of a hairpiece looks like. That doesn't surprise me at all, Mr. Naruhodo. You always want to see what lies beneath, don't you? I'm not sure that's quite how I'd put it. You must have to use lots of bird lime to keep it in place on your head. So it doesn't get blown off in a gust of wind, I mean. That might be a little inconvenient when you wanted to take it off again, don't you think? Like some kind of glue? You think this is to be glued on your head? No way. There are some black marks here, look. Yes, they look like some sort of scorch marks. So perhaps the bullet struck the candle here, do you think? It's only this one candle that's been cracked in half, it seems. Yes, I think you might be right. Firearms are rarely used by criminals in Japan, so I'm afraid I'm not particularly knowledgeable about them. Something just seems weird. Why are these two like half burnt down while this one is like whole? Mrs. Vigil. Victim Tobias Gregson, Coroner Maria Gorey. Age 45, time of death. Hold on, time of death? What's the time of death? What's the time of death? Cause of death. A victim was shot in the chest at close range from the front, resulting in instant death. Scorch marks at point of entry. The bullet exited the body from behind. The caliber of the gun used matches of that of a standard issue firearm for members of the judiciary. Bravo, Kazuma-sama, for not trying to use the gun as evidence when its provenance can't be proven. Oh, he said, "No, my lord, not conclusively." What did the judge ask? What did the judge ask? Ascertain the owner, right. Furthermore, my lord, as I've explained, the revolver was fired at extremely close range. The bullet passed through the victim and struck the wall behind him. There's a candelabrum mounted on that wall, and the tip of one of the candles in it was found to have been blown off. We noted that too, didn't we? Yes, that's right.
Thank you for the thorough report, Counsel. The setting of the crime is clear to me. You will submit the plan of the crime scene as evidence, please.
As you wish, my lord.
Is this Fresno Street room Inspector Gregson's private abode?
No, my lord. The room is rented to a Mr. Hugh Boone. But there's precious little furniture inside, and it is generally in a poor state of repair. So what on earth was Gregson doing there, even? Presumably, he was investigating some case or other. When a policeman was informed of the gunshot from the witnesses and rushed to the scene, he found only the deceased inspector and the accused standing alongside, holding the revolver. The attending officer arrested the accused on the spot.
So the details of this case are clear.
In that case, the prosecution would like to call its first witness.
A name, please, Counsel.
Naturally, the accused himself. Lord Van Zieks? As a prosecutor, he believes in the oath of the office he's taken and will be compelled to tell the truth.
Very well, let the defendant take the witness stand.
So, witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Baroque Van Zeeks, Old Bailey prosecutor.
I presume that Van Zeeks that you heard Prosecutor Azuki's opening presses.
I did.
It is alleged that you were found at the scene of the crime and that you were arrested by the arriving police officer. Can you confirm this?
Yes, my lord. Then I'm sure the court would like to hear you explain some things away. Namely, why you were there in the room on Fresno Street at the time in question. And what exactly took place. I intend to explain away nothing. I will simply tell the truth.
I must say, Lord Van Zeeks, I never imagined this day would come. Or rather, I didn't want to imagine it would come. But since you became known as the Reaper, a part of me has been dreading it.
Oh my god, do you not believe in him? They all believe that he is the Reaper.
Your formal testimony then, witness?
I was investigating Gregson, and my inquiries had led me to that address. Investigating Gregson? When I first entered the room that day, it was dark inside and I saw no one. A moment later, I heard the gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. Just as I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. That testimony was the whole truth. It was. So, you heard a shot being fired in a room with no living occupants, and moments later a corpse somehow appeared. Is that it? You're right, you haven't explained away anything. In fact, that would barely qualify as an excuse. I thought you were my mute apprentice. Yet it turns out you have a way with words, Prosecutor Azuki.
It would appear that to be a singular tale indeed.
Singular isn't the word, it's laughable. What's got into Kazuma? He's not behaving like himself at all.
Very well then. Counsel, you may begin your cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. Do we really want to find contradictions in the person I want to defend? You were investigating Gregson. Why?
Hold it!
You were investigating the inspector? What on earth for? I'm not at liberty to say. Sorry? I'd identified a distinct possibility that Gregson was involved in a case I was investigating. Regrettably though, he was killed before I could secure the proof I needed.
Is the court to understand then that on the day in question you followed the victim to the scene?
No, I was privy to his movements in advance. How? I stole into his office in the yard and consulted his diary. The address on Fresno Street was noted in the 5 p.m. entry. What? Is that even legal? Yeah, no. You illegally entered the man's office. In Japan, that alone would constitute a very serious offense.
Yes, it does in Great Britain, I assure you. Is that not the case, Lord Van Zeeks?
I was aware of the possible consequences. So in summary, you were investigating the victim, and yet, you refused to tell the court why. I didn't realize British prosecutors enjoyed such freedom to choose what to divulge under oath. Why did I ever think I could defend this man? If it was dark inside, of course you saw no one, right?
Hold it!
Because you couldn't see anything. Had you ever been to the address before? No, never. I only learned of the place as a result of my investigations. There was no light inside when I entered, so it was all but impossible to make out anything. But at 5 PM, the sun would only just have gone down. It would still have been reasonably light outside. The room has a window, but it was boarded shut. Very little light found its way into the room from outside, so it was extremely murky inside. I wouldn't have noticed if the victim was already lying on the floor. There was no artificial light in the room, you say? You're quite sure? I'm quite sure that the part of the room where the body was found was very dark. I have a feeling there was a small oil lamp burning on the desk, though I couldn't say for certain. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. There is a small desk in the room just there. Yes, I remember, and there was an oil lamp on it, as well as the framed photograph. When I entered the room, I closed the door behind me and started towards the desk to investigate. And what did you find? Nothing. I never actually reached the desk. I can only see a contradiction here. It was dark inside, and yet the candles were on fire. They were lit, right? I mean, presumably one lit all 3 candles, and because of the bullet shot, the pistol shot, the fire of this one got blown away, while these 2 didn't, so they burnt down, and this one did not burn down. Right? Oh boy. Shall we just present the evidence? Right now?
Objection!
The witness's last statement is clearly contradictory. Okay, undeniably.
It's undeniable, Counsel, but I fail to see any contradiction here.
Oh no. What? I think perhaps that itself is the contradiction. Time for a rethink. Oh, I would have expected Asugi to say something soul-crushing, like, oh, you haven't improved at all, or something like that. A moment later, you heard a gunshot.
Hold it!
So, who fired the gun? I have no idea. I didn't see anybody else in the room. But you say it was very dark in there? Yes, that's right. All I can tell you is I didn't sense another's presence. Aha, then could it be that the gunshot actually originated from somewhere outside the room? No, that's out of the question. Oh. Without doubt, the sound emanated from inside the room. I could smell the gunpowder. This is going from bad to worse. And you say that's the point at which you noticed the revolver on the floor? Correct, and I foolishly picked it up. That was carelessness on my part.
Presumably then, the gunshot you heard came from the firearm you somewhat hastily took in your hands.
In point of fact, my lord, I believe it did not. What? The barrel of the revolver I picked up was cold, and there was no smell of spent powder. But then, where on earth is the gun that was fired? Was I would like to oblige you with an answer. I'm afraid I can't. I sure would dearly like to know that.
Hold it!
What do you mean by that? In what way did the body appear? I honestly can't explain it, but it's the truth. As far as I was concerned, the body hadn't been there until that point, and suddenly there it was. Did you perhaps hear the sound of the victim falling to the ground just beforehand? At that moment, what I heard was the sound of the door flying open and the scream of the man who came inside first. Nothing more. I see. After the man fled, I examined the body. I was stunned to find that it was Gregson.
Oh, most curious circumstances indeed.
How the inspector was killed, or how his body seemed to appear out of nowhere, I have no idea. So, that's Lord Van Zieks' account. Do you have any thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, mainly that it really doesn't ring true in all sorts of ways. Who fired the gun if there was nobody else there? And how did a corpse just appear in front of him? So, you think Lord Van Zieks is lying? No, I don't think that. I mean, if he was going to lie, I would expect him to have come up with a more credible story, wouldn't you? Yes, I completely agree. I think he genuinely doesn't know what really happened himself. So we must do what we can to fill in the gaps. Yes, first and foremost, we need more information. Okay, what about the fourth statement?
Hold it!
A man, you say? One of the witnesses, I presume? That's right, one of the street merchants working on Fresno Street.
Who are these merchants?
A number of them had set up their stores directly beneath the boarded window of the crime scene. A match seller, a newsmonger, and a peddler. They've all given statements saying they heard a gunshot. And without thought of danger, they ran inside to see what had happened. Yes, Gina told us about that yesterday, didn't she? They burst through the door with some force, it would seem. They did, and almost gave me a heart attack in the process.
But you're supposed to be the Reaper. You're supposed to be.
The first man to come in immediately noticed the revolver in my hand and fled. A policeman patrolling on Fresno Street heard the commotion and was able to arrest the accused shortly after the incident occurred. Anyway, the man's scream drew my attention in that direction.
Objection!
Surely the court has heard enough. My lord, the cross-examination has clearly revealed that the accused, Baruch Van Zieks, is lying on multiple fronts.
You didn't even let me finish the cross-examination.
What is that supposed to mean?
The good gracious, counsel. The defendant is lying, you say?
In his testimony just now, he claims that he failed to notice the victim's body because the room was dark. That's correct. No, that's impossible. As proven by this candelabrum. I was gonna present that! How does that prove anything? If you examine the tip of the long candle, you can see it has been blown off by a powerful impact.
One would assume that a projectile from the firearm passed through the victim and struck the candle.
The problem comes when you consider the other 2 candles, which are clearly of a different length.
Yes, I can see that only the candle that appears to have been struck by the bullet is long.
We could reasonably expect someone to have lit all 3 candles together. Which begs the question of why only one has ended up longer than the others. That must be because that particular candle was extinguished when the others were still burning. Ah! That was my idea! That's right. When the candle was hit by the bullet, it obviously went out. But the other 2 candles would still have been burning, so the fact is, the victim's body would have been illuminated by the light still thrown by the candelabrum. And the accused's claim that he couldn't see the body clearly contradicts those facts. I'm the one contradicting the cross-examined. And now to the next lie. Oh, there's more? The accused also claims never to have visited the scene of the crime before. That's the truth. In that almost empty room, the police discovered something very unusual. A board covered from top to bottom in police documents and newspaper cuttings. Yes, that's right, we saw it too. It goes without saying that the contents of the police documents cannot be divulged. However, they included a number of reports from various historical cases, the oldest of which was from 10 years ago. 10 years ago? This is starting to sound familiar. And there's a common thread linking all of the documents on the board.
Indeed, what is this common thread, Counsel?
They all relate to cases prosecuted in court by Baruch van Zieks. All of them? And furthermore, all those cases are ones in which the defendant was acquitted.
Oh, good lord!
Interestingly, none of those defendants are alive today, because all of them have been sent to their graves by the Reaper. Don't tell me Mr. Vigil was the Reaper? The heck? Or the Red-Headed League is the Reaper. What? Ah. Oh no. In short, that dingy little room is the Reaper's secret hideout and his base of operations. The Reaper's hideout? And yet the Reaper would claim never to have been to his own secret hideout? No one would believe that. No. The truth is, we've been looking at this backwards.
Backwards? Explain, Counsel.
Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine. By the Reaper's hand? Oh my god, this makes so much sense. But what about... Oh my god, that makes so much sense. What? But what about Mr. Vigil in the Red-Headed League?
Order! Very well, I hereby state the current opinion of the court. Baruch van Zieks is an outstanding prosecutor who has rendered great service to his country. However, it is with deep regret that I must concur with Prosecutor Azugi's contention that the defendant's testimony exhibits a number of stark inconsistencies with the known facts.
All I have done is state the truth as I know it. Kazuma's done a brilliant job as ever. He's drawing on his experience as a defense attorney to build his prosecution case, and it's formidable.
Counsel, you will submit the board that you just showed the court as evidence. I believe it to be fundamental in establishing the facts surrounding the Reaper's existence.
Thank you, my lord. And now, the prosecution would like to call new witnesses to the stand. Oh! There are details of a whole raft of cases dating back years on here, aren't there? This paper from 10 years ago is browning with age, look. Out of interest, the most recent thing appears to be this newspaper cutting here. Oh, it's the same red-headed league advertisement. And do you remember there was a red hairpiece at the scene too? Was Inspector Gregson an exponent of the red-headed league then? Oh, what's this? Mr. Naruhodo, look! Oh yes, it's a smudge of some kind. In fact, it looks just like a handprint. And the color, that's blood, isn't it? Oh dear, how disturbing. What? A handprint? Witnesses who saw events unfold on the day in question. They were mentioned in a previous testimony too, if you remember. Yes, the street sellers who heard a gunshot and went running into the room.
Very well, lead the witnesses in. Defendant may step down from the witness stand.
Certainly, my lord.